I have been scheduled opposite myself and am supposed to be very shortly going out to MC the Superhero Costume Awards, for which I have not changed yet. So a little bit later I'll change into my superhero costume, it'll be all good. The Julie Award, as everyone knows, and for those who don't, is given in acknowledgement of excellence in a variety of fields, most of them comic book related, but not always. This year, yes. And I am extremely pleased and honored to state that I think that Julie Schwartz would have unquestionably approved of this year's honoree. He reshaped Batman into the artistic style that we have come to know today. He was responsible for some of the most incredible looking characters in the history of comic books, started his own art studio, is renowned throughout the industry. I'm speaking, of course, of Neal Adams, this year's winner for the Julie Award. Before Sienkiewicz, there was Neal. Before Jim Lee, there was Neal. Before Zod, there was Neal. Yes, there was Neal before Zod. I kind of like that. I just came up with that. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's winner, and I can tell you, I could go on at length about him, tell you all of his great achievements, but I feel absolutely confident in saying that he is perfectly capable of doing that himself, and he will, endlessly. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Neal Adams.
So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm 10 years old. It's not that long. I'm 10 years old and I'm on my way to Germany as part of the occupation forces. My father was in the Army. I'm an Army brat. I don't have a home. This is as much of my home as any place in the world. That's how it is with Army brats. We're on a plane, everybody in the plane vomits, the place smells terrible, we get off, we're in Ireland, we don't get to Germany. My mother takes me to the bathroom and washes the vomit off of me. And I go to the PX and there are comic books. And I thank God there are comic books. And in amongst the comic books there is a tour of 1 million BC. By Joe Kubert. I want to tell you, if a lump appears in my throat, it's because Joe died. When I saw that comic book, I thought the world had changed. Everything was wonderful. I went on to Germany, I read comic books, but I realized that comic books were going to become the revolutionary thing in the world, and I wanted to do them more than anything. Went to Germany, was there for a couple of years, came back. And when I went to the newsstand, everything had changed. I don't know what happened. Something had happened in America. Some guy named Frederick Wortham. And the Congress. And comic books changed. Comic books at the newsstand were no longer monster comic books or great superhero comic books. Captain Marvel was gone. Monster comic books were gone, and now I had My Greatest Adventure. District Attorney, Mr. District Attorney was a comic book. And then my favorite, Pat Boone comics. It was a good comic book. It was done by Bob Oxner. Then there was Sugar and Spike, which was another good comic book. For those of you who love Sugar and Spike, and I love Sugar and Spike. That was about it. Comic books had disappeared. I went to high school, School of Art and Design. I didn't make it to visual arts because we didn't have the money. My sons have all gone there. And when I graduated high school, somebody took pity on me and let me draw Archie comics. And so I did. And then I did other things, and then I did other things. And I went to DC Comics and I tried to get work. And a guy named Bill Perry came out and he said, look, kid, we can't get you work here. I can't even introduce you to an editor because comic books will be gone in about a year. I said, why? He said, look, kid, get a real job doing real things. Comic books will be gone in a year. I guarantee it. I went over to Archie, those people who took pity on me, and I said, what's going on? They said, well, comic books will be gone in a year, kid. My teacher had told me that, but I thought it was a joke. Comic books will be gone in a year. So I did other things. I did advertising comic books. I did work for Boys Life magazine. At a certain point in my life, I got a syndicated strip. Not a big deal. Comic books didn't go away. They just hung out there. I ended the strip 3.5 years later, and I went to get some comic book work, which was still surviving at Creepy and DC Comics. And guess what? They let me in. I had gotten very good doing advertising and all this other stuff, and I had fallen from the sky. And I started at DC Comics, and Jack Kirby was over at Marvel Comics, and Steve Ditko had gone from doing 6-page monster stories to doing Spider-Man. And the world was beginning to change. The world may have changed for you very slowly. The world has changed for me very fast. I have done comic books. You guys do comic books. We do comic books. We have conventions of 30, 40, 60, and 120,000 people. We are taking over the world. I think there's pretty much of a guarantee that comic books aren't going out of business in a year. We may never go out of business because we have found what I humbly call the perfect art form. If you put the best comic book artist in the world together with the best writer in the world, they will produce the best piece of art in the world. I'm not saying that as an opinion. That's what you call logic. Fact. We are the people that are producing the culture of the world. We had better be responsible. If you are a jerk or a schmuck, I don't know how far I can go with this, don't come into comic books. Do good work. Make us proud of you. I am very proud of this business these days. We are producing the movies, the television shows, the computer games, and we are producing the most educated group of people in America. Because, you know, we don't write comic books for kids. We write them for adults. In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, this is the happiest time that we could possibly be in, and it's only going to get better. Thank you.